So now we are talking about the um, steps of the long division with the polynomials. Oh, and Eliana, I already showed this to Lucas and Amy. I was wrong. You do get to use algebra in flipping burgers. So um, it's obvious here, and I saw this and I thought about it. So yes, I was wrong. Um, you can always learn lessons of life by the Snoopy comics. It's amazing. So um, just to share that with you. Um, okay, so back to lesson 24. Lesson 24, we are working with polynomials and we're learning to do two things. And everything that we did with the numbers, we can do with these polynomials. We started with the square roots. That's what we did here. We learned the pattern that any number, the square root does the opposite of the square. So the square root of 4 squared, these two, you can kind of think of canceling. These two undo each other. It's the opposite functions of each other, like adding and subtracting is the opposite. They kind of cancel each other out. So if we can get these polynomials written in perfect squares, by the way, this is called perfect squares, then the square root of x plus 3 squared is just x plus 3. It's the same kind of idea that numbers have. Okay, and we spent some time on that, but last class we were learning the steps of division in polynomials. And we went through the process once just to talk about how they, just to give you an example. We'll do some more practice today, and this is what we want to focus in on. The steps of division applied to polynomials. And like the class last time, the steps for polynomials are the same as the steps for numbers. It just looks different. We have to divide, multiply, subtract. This step in algebra means change the sign of each part. And then bring down, and then repeat. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat. So we did one example yesterday or last time. Let me get, where is mine? Let's go to lesson 24. And pick another example. Let's try x squared plus 11x plus 36. X squared plus 11x plus 36. All right, and I want to divide this by x plus 5. And again, I want to do it step by step to show you what's what. Okay, the first step seemed to be giving you guys a lot of trouble here, dividing. And again, what I want to do is just start with this number here, the x squared divided by x. And again, if you get confused, go off to the scratch paper, that's the blue part down at the bottom, and write it out. Okay, what is x squared divided by x? Oh, that's easy. Again, I can show you what's going on. X squared is just x times x, and when I divide by x, these things cancel. right? One of these on the top will cancel with the x on the bottom. And again, you don't necessarily have to write this out. If you're confused, please do. At some point, you'll be able to do this in your head, and you not have to write it out. But again, that's why I always work with a scratch sheet of paper. If you have to write it out, write it out. If not, don't. But x squared divided by x is just x. And like we do in regular math, we put that part over the x's here. So this was step 1, division. Okay? I just divided and I write the x's over the x's. All right? Second step, after I put my number up there, step 2 is to multiply. In algebra, when you multiply this, you have to use the distributive property. So I have to multiply the x times both of those. What is x times x?
2.
No.
I'm sorry.
X squared.
Yeah. Say it wrong.
Okay. 2x and x squared are completely different things, right? X times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. Now again, I showed you this yesterday. These two things are supposed to add out and give you 0 after step 3. In other words, when you multiply, these two have got to be the same. If those two things are not the same, please go back to step 1. There's no use going on to step 3. You're going to make mistakes. Don't do that.
Okay.
Don't put the 0 just yet because you forgot to do step 3.
Okay.
But again, if those two things are not exactly the same, you're going to have problems. Go back to step 1. It's like a built-in safety check. If they're not the same. Okay? If they are the same, then you can subtract. Step 3, the subtracting, remember in algebra, and this is why I told you to erase it, is you have to change the sign. Please go and do this. Change the sign on both things. Okay? Students who skip that step, and this is why I told my and look, ooh, Amy did another thing. Watch me. First, she tried to subtract without changing the signs. But then, after I told her to change the sign, let me show you what she did. And this is, again, this causes errors. So I want you to learn from, students say, okay, change sign. Okay, I'm going to change this to negative, and I'm going to change this to negative. You see how she tried to make this sign here? I mean, what is that? Is that a negative or a positive? Again, don't do that because you're going to get confused. Students say, oh, no, it's obvious. It's a positive. But then after they cancel this out and make it a 0, they forget that was a negative, and they see this right here, and they see it's a positive, and they end up adding. It doesn't happen all the time. It happens about 1/3 of the time. So you don't want to make that careless mistake. Now, do you? Not even 1/3 of the time. So don't do that. When you change the sign, get in the habit of writing it above it. You can do this for the first one, but the second one right above it. Like that. And that will keep you from making that careless mistake. And like I said before, these first two terms here should add out Okay? If they do not, then you're supposed to go back to step 1. If they are the same, you should get 0 here. And then we can continue with the second term. Wait, we have to come, what's 11x minus 5x? That is the 6x. And then we can go to step 4, bring down the 36, and repeat. And again, they're very similar. These steps are very similar to regular math. Okay? Regular numbers. Every step you've done now, let me erase all this, repeat. So now we go to step 1, and I have to divide. Here I'm going to divide the 6x by x. And once again, if this is confusing for you, go off to the side and write it down. What is 6x divided by x? Well, the x's can cancel, and that just leaves me 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to write it up top, and I don't just write the 6. Look at this mistake. People do this, and this in algebra means multiplication. I don't want to multiply these two, so I have to put my plus sign here. Okay? If you don't write that plus sign, it means multiply, and you know there's a big difference between adding and multiplying. Okay? So I just did my step 1 the second time. There it is. I have to multiply again. Step 2, the distributive property. I have to multiply both of those. Again, what is 6 times x? And 6 times 5. And once again, I can verify. You see that both of these are the same. If they're not the same, I'm to go back and redo step 1. I made a mistake on my division. If they are the same, I can go on to step 3. Again, don't forget about the fail-safe checking method. Step 3 means change the sign of both of these. 6x and 6x add out. 36 minus 30 is 6. Now here, there's nothing else to bring down because I'm at the end. With numbers, I can add decimals and continue and add zeros. I cannot do that in algebra with terms. So what I do is I do like we talked about last time with regular numbers. Whenever you have something like this, and I do not want to add a decimal with zeros, remember there are 2 ways to write this. I can write it with a remainder, or I can write it with a fraction. So here I can write my answer like this, or I can write it like this. Both are the same. 2 ways of writing the same remainder, and we want to do that in algebra. So in algebra, I can say my answer is x plus 6 with a remainder of 6. Or I can say this, x plus 6 plus 6 over x plus 5. Make a fraction out of it. Okay? And there's two ways to write the answer. I think the book prefers the second method. When you look on the answer sheets, I don't really care. But if you're using the answer sheets, you probably want to use the second method. I mean, as long as you know they're the same, it's fine with me. On the test, I will probably put the second method. I have to go back and check which one I used for the test. I don't remember. But this is long division when it does not come out evenly. It's the same as elementary school where things did come out evenly. Any questions? Plus 12. All right. Let's do another example. Ooh, let's do a little bit harder one. Let's do this.
9.
Yeah, I like 9. I may have 9 up here. Yeah, let's do number 9. There's number 9. Try on your sheet of paper. And see if you can do the steps while I go get a cup of coffee. I'm not going to get a cup of coffee. I just have to give you time to work on your own. That's the real reason. Y'all text me the answer. Lucas did. Did anybody else text me the answer while I was gone? Or was Lucas? Nope, Lucas is the first one. Okie dokie. If you get stuck, let me know.
Got stuck on the second part. I don't know what to do after that.
Okay. I should probably go back to this page here so we can see the steps. You don't have to write the steps, x plus 3, but it's good to have them, especially if you get stuck, because you're applying them to algebra. Plus 7x plus 3. Eliana, how are you doing? Are you stuck too, or you just need more time?
No, I'm just working through it.
Okay, I'll hang tight for a little bit, enjoy my coffee. Watch Amy play with her eraser. It's a matter of sweet pea.
That is going on YouTube.
This is hard having a dad for a teacher, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lucas, does your dad teach you any of the subjects in homeschool?
No.
No? How about you, Eliana? Does your dad do any teaching?
No.
Sorry, they don't feel your pain.
Bye.
All right, Eliana, I'm going to start my explanation just for time's sake, and really I'm bored. So, Amy, tell me what you did, the first step on the division.
So I went on the side and I did 2x squared divided by x.
And what did you get?
That's equal to 1x.
Nope.
Multiplied by 1x.
Nope. Because 2x squared is 2 times x times x. Now, the 2 cannot just disappear. There's an invisible 1 here. So technically, it's 2 divided by 1. What's 2 divided by 1?
2.
Just 2. What's x divided by x? Those x's can cancel. So what do I have when I
2x.
just 2x? So I'm going to write the 2x above the x column just to kind of keep things nice and neatly. So there's your division. Did you get 2x for the first one, Eliana?
Yeah.
Okay, second step, I'm going to try to keep the color coordinated the same. Multiply. Use the distributive property. Okay. What's 2x times x? And 2x times 3. And once again, I can check after I multiply, check to see if they're the same. If they're not the same, go back to the first term, go back and divide. If they are the same, I can continue. Pardon. Here, the 2x, my first terms, they are the same. So yes, I can continue to step 3. Step 3 says change the sign of both of these. 2x squared minus 2x squared. What's 7x minus 6x?
1. Negative 1.
Try one more time.
Yeah.
No?
1x.
Just 1x.
Yeah. 1x.
Okay. 7x minus 6x is just 1x. And third step is bring down the 3. Now I repeat the process. What is, again, I have to do the division. I'm going to take this 1x and divide it by x. What is 1x divided by x?
1x squared. Divided, sorry. Just 1.
Just 1. Okay. No big deal. So I'm going to write that number up top. It's just 1, but I have to put the plus 1 here. Okay. So I did my division. Now I use the multiply, the distributive property. What is 1 times x? And 1 times 3. Check. Are these two things the same? Yes, they are. And since they are, I can go on to step 3. If they're not, I go back to step 1 and try again. Step 3 says change the sign of both of these. Okay, that becomes a minus, that becomes a minus. These two add out, and so do these two. So my answer is just 2x plus 1. There is no remainder. How did you come up with a 4 for your second part, Eliana? Where did you make your mistake? Did you forget to change the sign here? I bet you that's what it was. You probably have a 13x down here.
No, I don't.
How did you get a 4 then?
What?
How did you get a 4 here?
Oh, let me look.
You want to send me a picture real quick?
It's really, oh, I think I divided something wrong. No, I didn't.
Send me a quick text pic.
Oh yeah, I minus something. That's all. It's nothing.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. All right. Any questions so far? We're going to take a break before we take this to the next level. Okay, we're going to take it up a notch. But first, let's take a 5-minute break. And remember, Amy, the camera's still rolling. So if you want to
do my little dance,
whatever, you're welcome to do that. All right, we'll continue in 5.
right? That in the video, the mic is still on. Yes. Hi. Hi.
Okay.
Goodbye. Just gonna do Kainyavel. I'm gonna draw it for her. You're gonna do it.
Cool. Okay. Is everybody back?
Why the cow?
Okay. Everybody back? You like that, huh? There's our interrupting cow, interrupting our nice break time.
Oh man, I was gonna say
Woo!
that.
What's the matter?
Don't like cows.
Don't like cows.
They're hideous.
You eat them every day.
Yeah, but the face is ugly.
Eliana, have you ever had cow tongue?
What?
Wait, what? No.
Yeah, it's
Here in Colombia, they make soup.
Is it good?
It is good, actually, surprisingly good.
I feel like it's really chewy or something.
It is surprisingly really, really good. And cow tail. It's the cow tail is some of the most tender meat. It's the softest. They make both of those here, which
Yeah, it's delicious.
yeah. Which one's your favorite, Lucas? The tail or the tongue, or you like them, or both the same?
The tail.
Yeah.
The cow tongue is just gross because it's just like they eat all the dirt and stuff, you know?
Yeah, well, you would think that,
Yeah,
but
they clean it, yeah.
yeah, obviously. I remember my first time trying the tongue. My mother-in-law had come to visit. We were living in the States, and my mother-in-law came to visit, and they wanted to, she was kind of tired of eating all the American food, and she was like, "Man, I want some," So my mother-in-law and my wife went to the store to go get something, make a traditional Colombian dish. They found the tongue, which is very rare to find, but Walmart had it, believe it or not. So they bought it and they cooked it, and they didn't tell me what I was eating. And so they just served me dinner. I ate it, and I was like, man, it was so good. And halfway through my second portion, they told me that I was eating cow tongue, and I was like, whoop, okay. I was like, that's good. It was awesome, but I couldn't eat anymore. I was like, psychologically, I hit a brick wall. I was like, I can't, I couldn't do it after I knew what I was eating.
And straight to the bathroom.
No, it's delicious.
It really was delicious.
Yeah.
But at that moment, I had a mental blockage, and my meal was interrupted by the cow. When I knew what I was eating, I was like, I just couldn't do it. But it was delicious. But cow tail, it was the same thing. If you ever come visit, which you will have to when we finish the year and have our hamburger party here at my house, you're going to have to come. One of the things you have to try is the cow tail for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and also the bandeja paisa.
What's that?
What's that?
Rice,
Bandeja
frijoles,
paisa,
plátano.
it's like it has a lot of it has how do I explain that?
It has rice. It's a combination of meats, I think.
Search an image. It has a lot of things: rice, avocado. Just search an image and put it there.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to try.
They have good food here for sure.
That'll be fun.
Eliana.
Also the tamal.
We know. I don't like tamales.
No?
No.
Amy doesn't like tamal?
They're okay. I mean, I'll eat them,
Me too,
but I don't really like them like I do the tail or some of the other things.
Oh, you
Okay.
prefer a cow's tail over a tamale?
I would get if I go to a restaurant and I see the options and there's steak and chicken, whatever. If they have tail, I'm like, give me the tail. It's really that good. It's good. Okay, we're off topic. The interrupting cow needs to go back. Let's take it up a little notch. Like I said, we in class we do the hardest. We shouldn't be doing those just yet. Let's go back to 24A. There. Those are the hardest. Yeah, number 10 and 11. Just like in elementary school, once you learn the steps of division, the numbers get bigger, but it doesn't get harder. I mean, it's the same. You just follow the steps. It's not really that hard. It may be longer and the numbers look uglier, but it's not harder. Okay? And that's what we're doing here in algebra in number 10. So try number 10. If you have to, write the steps out on a sheet of paper, or if you want me to, I can go back and copy number 10 and put it on but just follow the steps. All right? Follow the steps. Try number 10. If you get stuck, let me know, because I don't know how much time you need to actually do the problem, or if you just get stuck, you can't work anymore. Mm-hmm. Hold on. Okay, well you did that, right? Now multiply. All right, I got an answer from Lucas and Eliana. Amy, how you doing? Needing more time? All right, I'm gonna start working, and you guys can check your answer. Also, check your work. Don't forget to check after you multiply. Make sure these are the same. Otherwise, you'll get a wrong answer.
Okay.
What'd you get?
X squared plus 1x plus 7.
All right, I'm still in the middle of working it out. Okay. So we get it looks like everybody has the Eliana, what's causing the problem there?
I don't know. I'm redoing it though.
Again, this is why I don't like virtual classroom. I can't see and help you check your mistake. You're welcome to text me what you've done, and I can show you, I can figure out what's causing the error. But it looks like Amy and Lucas, y'all doing all right. And there you go. All right, Amy and Lucas, while Eliana is trying to figure that out, y'all can go on to number 11. Try number 11. Eliana, you're welcome to ask questions while they're working on number 11. Try to figure out the steps. Look at my work. Compare it to yours. I think something is causing the problem. I think it's the subtracting. Because, Eliana, if you look at your second term, the 4x comes from, it must have meant that you had a 4x squared after you subtracted. And somehow you're not subtracting correctly. You're not doing step 3 correct, which produces the wrong answer for step when you repeat the process. Eliana, can you see my finger on the board?
Sorry, what?
I was asking, can you see my finger on the board?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I think it looks like it's happening is for you, you're not subtracting these two. I think if I could see your paper, I'm guessing, but I think you're subtracting this, but then you just do this. And you say, okay, what is 4x squared plus you're bringing down without subtracting. When you change the sign, you're supposed to say 9x squared minus 4x squared. X cubed minus x cubed is 0, but here you're supposed to subtract 9x squared minus 4x squared.
Yeah, I did that. That's not my problem. I have something else because I've been doing that right.
Because how do you get 4x here then?
I don't know.
Then the only other thing I would guess is if you mentally said 9 minus 4 is 4. And I don't think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. I can't see your paper, so I'm guessing. Something is causing an error.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to work through several problems slowly.
Right. Try it on number 11 and see if you can do number 11 correctly.
Okay, I'm done.
All right, you're done.
2 squared plus
Lucas, how are you doing?
plus 1.
I'm doing good.
You need more time, or do you got an answer?
No, I got an answer for 11.
Okay. Eliana, you keep
I
working.
just put it in the chat.
Okay. Eliana, you keep working, and you can compare your steps by steps. I'm going to start working on the board. Or would you rather us do it together, Eliana?
You can work on the board and I'll just watch while I work too.
Okay, well, tell me what you did step 1 on number 11. I'm sure you've done step 1.
Mm-hmm. Just did the x cube. I divided it by x and I got x squared.
Okay, so I'm going to put that there. What did you get when you multiplied these two together?
X cubed and x. Oh wait. X squared times 1 is. I totally blanked.
What's x squared times 1?
X squared.
Yeah. When your mind goes blank, sometimes it's over the easiest things. Any number times 1 is the same number. X squared,
and
y to the 5th, anything times 1 is just the same number. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's 3x squared plus 12x.
No, this is where I don't know where you're doing this. Okay, change the sign. Oh, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah, I changed the sign,
okay.
minus it out, pulled it down.
Okay, so that's 3x squared plus 12x. Now repeat the process. What did you get when you said 3x squared divided by x?
So you pull the 3x squared up, right? X squared plus 3x squared.
No, I have to divide it. I have to repeat the process. So what's 3x squared?
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. So 3x squared divided by x would just be 3 times x over x. You would just have 3x.
Okay.
Squared.
Nope. Oh.
Squared.
Nope. No.
What?
No.
Wait.
I just heard you do
does.
this. I heard you write this out. I heard you write. How was that? I heard you write that out. I did. I heard you write and it's recorded too. But this X cancels with this X here. So what do I have left?
3x, or 3x, yeah, 3x.
3x, not the squared. Not squared. You said squared. And it's not 3x squared, it's just 3x. So you were correct until you said squared. And I was like, nope. And you kept saying squared, squared. And I was like, nope, no.
No.
So it's just 3x. Okay. Then multiply. That gives me 3x squared plus 3x. Change the sign. Add. Again, we forgot to check, but those two are the same. They add out to be 0. What's 12x minus 3x?
9x.
Okay. And bring down the 9. And repeat. Now, what is 9x divided by x?
9.
Multiply. They are
9x plus 9.
Change the sign. These add out. I have no remainder. And my answer is what you all got.
3x, 9. Okay, so I found my mistake. It wasn't anything to do with the subtracting, but after I minused everything out, that's when I pulled up the number, and then I divided it. So that's why I've had my problems, is I'm supposed to divide it, and then that is when you put the number.
Okay. Well, good. If you can do 10 and 11, then that's the hardest of these type of problems. Then you can do lesson 24, which is what your homework is for tomorrow. 24B, because we just did all the problems on A. But don't forget, A has 2 parts. 24 has 2 parts, has the square root and polynomial division. But polynomial division is the same thing as regular long division. It just looks different with polynomials. All right. So a very good job. I think we can finish a little bit early today. Don't have anything else to do. You can either start 24B for tomorrow or wait till tomorrow. But we will finish up early and then we'll see y'all next week. Sounds good?
Bye, Lucas. Bye, Eliana. Bye, Jacob.
Goodbye.